All right, another news segment. Get into this. We don't have to do all of them. I just wrote down a few, and they're in the order that they were drafted. So they're in the order of their draft class. So this segment's called Heir to the Throne. What young quarterbacks are the next Hall of Famers? And they don't have to be Hall of Famers. Like, I'm just saying which young quarterbacks are going to last in the league, like develop and last, or which ones are bust. And I don't like using the word bust, especially in the NFL, because like there's a reason why you're drafted, and the NFL is the best of the best. But like, which ones are going to be good and which ones will be replaced? And like I said, we don't have to talk about all of them, but I can just name a few because there's some of them that are obvious. They're already good right now, and then some of them are very questionable. So Kyler Murray, he'll last. He's got the Cardinals winning. Looks like young Russell. Agree with that.
Yeah, I made a little list here, and I had K1 at number one.
I just named all of them
Mm-hmm.
since I think this is from 2020 draft class on, or 2019. Some of them from 2019, but I know 2020 till now. Daniel Jones. So Kyler Murray, Daniel Jones. I don't think Daniel Jones. I think he'll be replaced. Giants will be drafting their quarterback soon.
Yeah, I'm just sort of gonna, if you don't care, I'm gonna take over. I had a little thought in my head. I don't want it to get too far down, and then me say it, and then it doesn't make sense. I saw a thing earlier in the week that was talking about young quarterbacks, and some of them are just surviving and floating, and trying to stay under the radar and not get replaced. And then they have maybe 3 years max, and if they haven't proved themselves, they're going to get replaced. And I was looking at this list earlier, and I think Kyler Murray proved himself, so I think he's safe. And then Daniel Jones, he's got to prove himself within the next couple weeks, I feel like, or he's gone. And then your quarterbacks that are surviving are the rest. You got Joe Burrow, Tua, Justin Herbert.
I don't think Tua is surviving either.
I think Justin Herbert's proved himself.
Yeah.
You don't think Tua's surviving?
Tua's injury prone.
Think?
It may be too early to call it, but and I don't like using this word either because it's hard to accept. It's hard to accept it, and it's maybe not for you, but for me, it's weird watching the NFL or college because when you were a kid watching it, you look up to them players, and in all reality, they're younger than me. So it's hard for me to look at a kid and call him a bust or soft, but Tua is soft. If I had to pick a word for Tua, and like I said, I hate using that word because he's still a kid in my eyes. He's not to you, but to me, he's a kid. He's younger than me, so it's hard to look at a kid and say that kid's soft. But they carted him off the field, and they said that he was fine and that he would come back, and then later on, it just randomly came out that he had broke ribs. So it's just like they're making up a story to cover for him. I don't know. It's just too many injuries back to back for me. Like the two big ones at Alabama. And then for some reason, the Dolphins still felt comfortable with him and drafted him. And then, like, he's still injury prone. I just don't think he's going to make it. And it came out in the offseason that they were looking at Deshaun Watson too.
Yeah.
So that proves even more that which at the end of the day, it's a business. And they have to do what's right for their team. But that's the first sign that they don't have faith in you. So,
well, I'm gonna keep.
I agree with the rest of yours, like Kyler, Burrow. Even though Burrow, it's his second year, it's not. It was out of his control. They realized they're going to have to put offensive linemen around him, or he's going to stay hurt too.
Yeah.
So he's there to stay for the next foreseeable future. Herbert's proved himself.
Yeah.
I've said it before. He still has a lot to prove as far as this, and it's big shoes to fill. But he could be the next A-Rod. So he's proved himself. It's more of the later ones that I'm questioning.
Yeah, I feel like the rest of that list there is players that are just trying to survive, stay under the radar until they get the team built to prove themselves. And that's some of those are Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance. Most of them are rookies, so it makes sense that they're just, staying under the radar, trying not to get. I mean, if you're a team and you draft a quarterback and then immediately replace him, I mean, what do you expect? Like, you're just going to keep doing that over the next couple of years. You can't expect a rookie to come in and compete in its first year. So,
Jalen wasn't brought in to take over the franchise.
No.
Until he came in and outplayed Carson.
Mm-hmm.
And then they ran with him. So in some ways, in the Eagles' eyes, you can say that Jalen Hurts has proved himself too. Or they wouldn't have got rid of Carson.
You could, but I never liked Carson. I mean, he took the team, quote unquote, to the Super Bowl, but didn't play in the Super Bowl. So
I feel the exact same way you do.
Yeah.
You know how I feel about him.
I just don't respect Carson.
But like I said earlier, at the end of the day, it's a business. And if they felt like he hadn't proved himself, they wouldn't have got rid of him.
Mm-hmm.
They'd have kept him as an insurance policy. Just in case Jalen hasn't proved himself yet.
Les Carson was just extra weight, which is what I see him as. Is they saw that he was extra weight and they didn't need him. And if they were going to
salary cap
start with a new quarterback, or if they were going to start with a quarterback, they might as well start with a younger quarterback than Carson Wentz. And
I feel like that's
what I see him doing.
The front office is confident in him, but he's not proved enough to us.
Exactly.
Trevor Lawrence is a rookie, so we're Tennessee fans, so we see it. And like Trevor Lawrence grew up as a Tennessee fan, so we've heard this from day one since we recruited him and Butch Jones didn't want him. Like, Trevor Lawrence is supposed to be the next Peyton Manning. Like, as far as potential. But the Jags have to build that team around him or they're going to be screwed.
See, I think Trevor Lawrence out of college, number 1 draft pick, Trevor Lawrence, had that potential. But he's not going to do it in Jacksonville. I could see him getting through the surviving period that I was talking about and ending up somewhere else.
Being like Breeze,
and then doing something. So he does have the potential to be Peyton or like a top tier quarterback, but out of just the rookie class and all the quarterbacks that came out of it, I'm taking Mac Jones as the one that has proved the most so far, but it is based on the team and not the player. So we'll see. And Mac Jones does have arguably the best quarterback in NFL or the best coach in NFL history.
Mac has the higher ceiling.
Yeah,
he has a higher ceiling, but I would argue that if they would just give him the keys, Trey Lance could have the same ceiling.
But see, we said that about Justin Fields too, and what really drives me crazy, and it's been since I've seen it, it's drove me crazy all week, is news came out from the Bears that it's still up in the air if Justin Fields, Andy Dalton, or Nick Foles starts for the Bears next week versus the Lions.
Well, Nagy came out in the press conference and said if Andy Dalton was healthy, he would be our starter.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense, man. Why are you're gonna throw him out there and all that the NFL, like all Bears fans, all of the NFL community, all they see right now is Justin Fields that got sacked more times than he completed a pass. Put him out there against an 0-3 Bear or a Lions team and let him prove himself.
It's
And if he
like
doesn't, and if you have a healthy Andy Dalton, give them each a half. Give Justin Fields the start. If he doesn't prove himself, bring Andy Dalton in. If you think Andy Dalton's better than Justin Fields, let him play clean up and bring the game back. Because I don't see that Bears defense letting the Lions run away with it. That's so bad that they can't come back in the last half.
Yeah. I like that they came out and said he was a starter versus the Browns, but like I said, he came right around and said, well, Andy would be the starter if he was healthy. So it's like you're just like taking back everything you said.
Yeah, and like I said earlier in the podcast, is like you can't expect a rookie quarterback to go up against the best Browns defense we've seen in my whole life and actually do something versus, the Lions. And they came out before, like weeks before or a week before the Browns game and said that it might have been the week of this week, the week before they played the Browns. They came out and said that they planned on playing Justin Fields versus the Lions because they felt like that was the easiest opponent for him to have his first game in. So I just don't see why they don't stick to that plan and play Justin Fields versus the Lions.
I just think Nagy's saying what he has to say.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think I heard I seen it on Twitter and I seen it on articles. Their plan all along, like you said, was to start him week 4 or week 5 anyway. So I just think he's like covering himself against Andy Dalton, like basically just not throwing Andy to the side. But going back to what we said about Daniel Jones, I got my mind swirling and conspiracy theories and possible destinations. If Daniel Jones is done, I think Joe Judge is done too. I think they'll be looking for a new coach and a new quarterback. Could the Giants hire Chiefs OC Bieniemy and Eric Bieniemy bring in Cam Newton?
Maybe, but at the same time, what if Joe Judge makes that push? Like next week, like maybe Daniel Jones goes out there and flops, coming off a loss to the Falcons. And maybe he's like, Daniel Jones, like he could go to the owners and say, Daniel Jones isn't the guy. He says, you guys need to help me bring in Cam. And they bring in Cam Newton and
I don't know if
turn
they
him around.
drafted a backup.
Yeah, I don't know who their backups are.
So you think that they would, like, I'm wondering if they drafted a late round quarterback, like later on, to be a backup. No, they have Mike Glennon.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it could happen. Cam has to go somewhere. Where else is he gonna go?
Dude, I just really, I've been thinking about it all week too, is I really hope that they don't waste. Like, I hope all 32 teams do not waste Cam Newton. And I hope they don't let him fall out. Like Tim Tebow, Colin Kaepernick, all these good quarterbacks that have been just forgotten about because of whatever.
I tell you the perfect place, and I could see it. You listen to Pat's show, and they talk about it, how Carson Wentz will not go down. He's just ruthless and takes a hit from anybody. And that's why he stays hurt. I could see him going to the Colts, but I could see him eventually going to the Colts, but the perfect team for him, the perfect team, perfect city, perfect fan base would be Atlanta. I could just picture him in a Falcons uniform just running like crazy.
Michael Vick?
Yeah. I don't know. They would have to like realize that Matt's done and move on from Matt Ryan.
Honestly, I would have gave Matt Ryan one shot after the Super Bowl disaster. I would have gave him one shot to come back, and I would have got rid of him whenever I got rid of Julio. And,
But if this, like the obvious pick that everybody thought would happen was Washington. Just because of Rivera and the ties there, but I think that would have already happened.
And it all lined up, too, with Ryan Fitzmagic going out. And
that would have already been done deal if it was going to happen. It would have already have happened by now.
Yeah,
But
Rivera came out, too, and said that he really liked Taylor Heineke. So, and I like Taylor Heineke, too, especially after the performance he put up against the Giants.
Just the most common sense pick right now, if I was making a prediction, if he comes out and he's still injury prone and this injury is worse than what it says, and I could see Cam in Miami. Like, if Tua just comes out and
I don't see why that's not a done deal. That or
because even if he's not your starter, he said he would love to be a backup.
You know, Cam has this ego about him. And while he is good, he thinks he's all that. And he to an extent he is. But what are the odds that he has been offered jobs by the Colts and the Dolphins and he's just holding out for something else?
So wait to see what he can get.
Yeah, do you think that's happened, or?
I think somebody's contacted him, or at least his agent. They had to. And just look at
There's not 32 guys or 31 guys better than him. So, I don't know.
We're not going to get into this at all, but because I don't want to. But all you had to say is, if there's been teams contact Kaepernick, there's teams contacting Cam. And there has been teams contact Kaepernick. They just don't want to bring him in because of the backlash. But there has been teams contacting him. And if there's teams contacting him, there's teams contacting Cam. It's just a matter of who. We'll see. That's another topic we threw in there. I mean, it just happened naturally. It's another talking point, but I think that's all, unless you got anything else.